that shit.
Welcome to Trash Talk MMA.
Smile on my face, behind my back, they talk trash.
The #1 podcast for news and insight that matters in the world of mixed martial arts. Brought to you live and unfiltered from all four corners of the globe by MMA aficionado Antoine Pelche.
Yo, and welcome to the Trash Talk MMA podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Pelche, and we are live at the Juggernaut Fight Club in beautiful Singapore with the founder himself, Arvind the Juggernaut Lalwani. Arvind, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Good. Sounds like you've had all sorts of crazy plans of late. You just basically relaunched your gym.
Yeah.
What did that consist of?
Well, a whole lot of moving and we just relaunched it on May 2nd, like just last Saturday.
Yep.
So it was all last minute things and all, like, to get the bags up, to do the last minute painting and all that. I think it's always a pain, like, to move. It's
a pain to change office spaces.
Yeah, exactly. And then to move the whole damn
when you
gym.
got to go to a new cubicle.
I know.
You know? So I can't imagine a gym with all the gear that you got. You know?
Exactly. And the worst part is, there's no elevator. You got to come up 5 floors.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. I got up here and I already had a solid sweat going on.
It's a good warm up though.
And I'm surprised. It's 8:30 p.m. and you have a packed gym here. So I guess the move was successful. You've got a loyal following here.
Yeah, we do. The reason why I moved as well was because of my previous location on Boat Key. I had 20, 30 people in that small space at all times, and it was getting hard to fit in more people.
Yeah.
So I needed a bigger space, and luckily I got this spot.
So you founded Juggernaut back in 2011, is that correct?
That's
okay,
right.
so how much bigger is this facility? I mean, you obviously you did this for expansion purposes.
Yeah.
What are the new needs that you're fulfilling here that you couldn't before?
It's basically a training area. We've doubled up the training area. We've got a huge jiu-jitsu area right at the corner, and then we've got 15 bags up. We've got a boxing ring. We've got a strength and conditioning area. While back then, everything was cramped up. We had 2 floors though.
Okay.
But the jiu-jitsu and the strength and conditioning area was cramped up, and it was hard to get 12 people rolling was really a pain.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And the boxing area, the boxing and the Muay Thai area on the 3rd floor, we had 10 bags up, and 20 people there. It was really you couldn't move, and with that small space and all that heat and all. So yeah, it's interesting because I just spent 3 months basically running around Phuket, checking out all the gyms that are up there. So the Tiger Muay Thais and the Phuket top teams and the AKA Thailand, and there's such vast outdoor spaces. Oh yeah.
And now that I'm here seeing the gyms in Singapore, it's yeah, dude, you're not in the jungle anymore. You're in an international city with high rises, and there are no big cheap open spaces. People.
Exactly.
So I guess space is really at a premium, and you've got to probably make some tough decisions of being, how many people do I have coming in? How many new customers, clients do we want to get going? And choose that right space, making sure that it's cost effective for you and your clients, and that you don't go too big or too small, that people start being like, okay, I want to go someplace bigger because it's getting too cramped.
Exactly.
At Juggernaut or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, how did you sort of evaluate this new space?
Well, basically the place where I was at on Boat Key, that's prime area. That's the drinking capital of Singapore. There's all those bars and restaurants, all that.
Well, we'll go there after.
Yeah. Then you got a fight gym right there. So everyone's like, how you got a fight gym on Boat Key? And it's right.
People who drink like to fight, right?
Well, that's true. But it was real close to the Central Business District.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I got this literally by luck. It was when I was looking for spots, I was looking everywhere around the area, and even further off, just to find a spot which was bigger and slightly cheaper rental as well.
Okay.
So this one, I was just passing by, and I remembered this spot used to be a Muay Thai gym 3 or 4 years ago. So I just wanted to, I just went up and just to check, see, if the Muay Thai gym was still around.
Okay.
I just came up, and then it was empty, and and I was like, oh.
Yeah. This is a good sign.
I need to go find the person who
Right to spot out,
yeah. So I made a few calls and then went online, and then boom, just got it. And within a space of a few days, I said, "That's the one."
Hey man, sometimes that's how it is. I think it's also just like when you're buying real estate. You know, I bought a few condos as I was growing up and whatever, and you know, you'll look at a whole bunch of places and then you'll see one that just resonates with you.
Yeah.
And I think you know, if you had that feeling, then you probably made the right choice.
Exactly.
You know, you never want to jump into a home that doesn't feel right. It's never going to feel perfect, but there's one that resonates. You know.
Yep. This spot actually, I wanted to open my first gym over here because I saw this spot. It was kind of empty at that point of time.
Okay.
And then, well, I didn't get an opportunity because my partner actually liked that spot over there.
Okay.
Because, you know, near the CBD, he thought we could get like the business business customers, and also I was like, yeah, okay, we'll go with that. You know?
So do you get people, your clientele, is it all walks of life?
All walks of life. A lot of students though.
Okay.
You do get lots of teenagers as well. All of them want to fight. You know, lots of angst. You know, it's changing their lives as well, which is good.
Exactly, and letting off some steam.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did you do for your launch party the last weekend?
Well, we had like an open gym. Like we had like 4 or 5 classes open to everyone, free. So
that's cool.
People would come in and like
so they could try all your classes.
Yep, try out all the classes, and then special discounts on that day. So when they sign up,
Okay.
you get good discounts, and then you get to meet like Ole Larson.
All right. Awesome. So
Two-time
Ole was in the
Muay Thai
house.
champ, yeah.
Okay.
We had Jump Hot over here as well,
Okay.
which was kind of cool. And yeah, we had some refreshments and so on. So it was a pretty, I would say it was a very successful launch. We had like over 100 people here.
Awesome.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was packed.
What's your relationship like with Ole?
Oh, we're good. You know, I used to be affiliated with his gym, Legacy Gym in Ubon back then when I opened
Sure.
up. You know, we had all his Thai instructors coming in and all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've maintained a great relationship. Now I'm working with him with his fight gear. He's got ground skills, right? So he designed MMA shots for us right now, and we're getting some stuff from him.
Yeah, I mean,
good,
it seems like
good.
everybody's getting into the apparel biz, man, and that's
Yeah.
going to become a crowded space too.
Yeah,
you
he
know?
just I think he's designed for Bang Muay Thai
Yep.
and Rufus Sport as well.
Okay.
So that's a pretty big
That's
deal.
good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
2 huge deals.
That's right.
So you opened the gym last Saturday, and then of course on Sunday morning we had the Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
You obviously have a huge background in boxing. We'll delve into that in depth, and I know you pretty much offer the best boxing deal in town. But give us your thoughts on what happened between Mayweather and Pacquiao.
I mean, what do you expect? It was Mayweather. Like,
What did you expect, and what did you feel about what happened?
That's what I expected. I knew Mayweather was going to win the fight, and that's how he was going to win it. Okay? I mean, there was still that little part of me where I thought, Pacquiao would, get a lucky punch in and knock him out. That was it. But that was like 5%. 95% of it just said, like, you know what?
Just went as advertised.
Yeah. And as soon as the fight started, and I saw the fight in the first round, I was like, that's it.
Yep. That's what we're doing.
Mayweather's fight.
Yep.
He's not. Pacquiao was passive. He wasn't even aggressive. Hardly aggressive.
I think he had a few flurries, but
it was all hitting the arms.
Yeah, hitting the arms, hitting the body, and Mayweather was unimpressed.
I wasn't impressed. Not many people were. And the funny thing is that I was watching it at Tab in Orchard Road. We had an event over there as well, so
Okay.
we sponsored a couple of ring card girls, and but like everybody was pro Manny.
Yeah.
So I was like
I mean, it seems like there's a massive Filipino contingency in Singapore now.
Well, that's true, but I didn't see that many Filipinos over there.
Yeah, I was outside of Murphy's Irish pub somewhere,
okay,
and
okay.
I was hanging, literally like standing on a barrier, hanging off the ceiling like an orangutan.
Yeah,
like
right.
it was. I couldn't even. It certainly didn't cost me anything, but I had to basically like hang off the side of the building of the railing of. Anyway,
Yeah.
It wasn't seating room. It wasn't standing room. It was just hanging off the rafters.
Exactly. I mean, everybody was watching that fight.
Yeah.
And I was there, and I was the only one with the money team cap on. And everyone's like, "The hell?"
Who's this traitor?
Yeah. And
Now, would you have liked to have seen this fight a few years earlier? I mean,
5 years ago, yes.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny because I heard that I had Travis Luter on the show, and he's a big boxing fan, and
Definitely.
that was his take on it too. I was like, "Are you guys stoked for this fight?" They're like, "Not at all."
No, I wasn't. I mean, like 5 years ago, if it happened, and I would have been excited.
Yeah.
When this fight was happening, when they said it was going to happen, and everyone was like, "Oh, Mayweather Pacquiao's happening," I'm like, so.
I mean,
No
it's
big
just
deal,
because it actually got signed. I think it's just more the fact that people thought it would never happen. And said,
I
wow,
know.
they actually finally just agreed to do it. Is it the perfect context for it? I don't think anybody will say it is or was, right? Mm-hmm. So what's left for boxing then, in your opinion, now that this fight of all fights has happened?
I mean, there's so many other fighters out there, and there's Gennady Golovkin, there's Kovalev, there's all these guys out there who are, well, they don't have like, the massive following like Mayweather and Pacquiao has, but they are more exciting fighters. That's what people want, right? Like they want exciting fighters, they want knockouts and so on. So I think the next generation of boxers that are coming in will fare well. Boxing's not dead. It can't die.
It can't die. Of course it can't die. The sport can't die.
Yeah, there's so much money in it in the first place.
But who in your opinion is really left, or who is in place now to perhaps fill the shoes of Mayweather and Pacquiao, who are, they're in their late 30s now? Who can fill this void? Who can become the next big stars here that can actually really, really sell tickets?
I think Lomachenko, who was on the undercard.
Yep.
Yeah, he looked good. He's legit.
Yep.
He's like a 2-time Olympic champion. He's had like 400 plus amateur fights, and he won his world title in like his second or third fight.
Yeah.
So this guy's got and he's still in his 20s, so he's got a good career ahead of him. I like Gennady Golovkin.
Yep.
It's good knockout power, definitely. One of my favorite boxers right now as well is they're all Russians. Kovalev.
Yeah. Yep.
Kovalev, who just beat Bernard Hopkins.
Yep.
Yeah. The heavyweight division is sad though.
Well, yeah.
Still the Klitschko
sort
brothers.
of like the light heavyweight division in the UFC. It's pretty sad too.
Yeah.
But so yeah, let's talk heavyweight boxing then. Klitschko's.
The Klitschko's. Deontay Wilder. When I saw him fight against what's his name? His last fight, the one he won the WBC title from Berman Steven. I was kind of impressed by him. I think he's got a chance to beat Klitschko brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
What tools do you think he possesses that really gives him that fighting advantage?
He's tall, and he fights his style. He's got this long, gangly style, kind of like the Klitschko brothers as well. So I believe he can use his tools like how he used against his fight against Berman. He probably could beat Vladimir Klitschko, and he's even taller than the Klitschko brothers.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you bring up the long gangly style in boxing, because we can switch gears and move into the MMA scene, and that seems to be the build that's just dominating MMA. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a Conor McGregor, a Dominic Cruz, a John Jones, who we won't be seeing for a while, but Anderson Silva, the Nick Diaz of this world. You've been very successful in a ton of different martial arts and different combat sports, and that's certainly not your build. Yeah. How have you reconciled your build with the various martial arts that you've been involved? Because you've gotten into everything, and it seems that you've enthusiastically gotten into everything, whether it's BJJ, wrestling, boxing, or MMA. You got a stocky build. How do you reconcile that with all these different sports, and how have you found success in all of them?
I was stupid back then. I took a lot of hits.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that was my style. I was getting in. I'll take some shots, but then I'll give shots back. So I generally had good power as well. So that's how I won my fights. But
yeah, you had to close the distance, had to use the power,
I know,
had to smother, had to overwhelm.
As I've gotten older right now,
how old are you now?
Now I'm 35, man.
Okay.
So I've learned how to fight my reach as well.
Okay.
And for someone who's, I'm not too tall, I've actually got a pretty good reach. I've got a reach of like a 6-footer because of my wide chest and all. So,
Who are some of the fighters out there in MMA that have your build that you admire, that you find use them well? Like say Mark Hunt.
He's one of my favorite guys.
It's awesome,
right? He's called the Juggernaut as well. Mark Hunt.
Isn't he the Super Samoan?
The Super Samoan, and he's got his own brand. He's called the Juggernaut too. He's got his
I've
own.
never heard that called from.
It's actually called the Juggernaut.
Well, he's fighting. He's fighting on Saturday.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Who's
in? Oh no, is he? Yeah. He's this weekend against Stipe Miocic.
Oh,
that's awesome too.
It's going to be a good fight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Stipe Miocic is a good striker.
That's happening in Australia at UFC Adelaide this Saturday.
Okay.
So we should try to touch base, maybe watch that. I don't know where. I'll try to find out what time it's on. It's actually going to be really early Sunday morning, I think.
Yeah, that's usually the case, right? Yeah. It's like 9 a.m.
But it's
in the
weird
morning.
because it's in Australia. So wouldn't the? I was looking at the times on UFC.com today because I was like, if it's in Australia, what market are they catering it for?
American market still. I think that's their biggest market.
Yeah,
still.
Of course it is. But I mean, it's funny. Are they going to make the fighters fight in the morning like that?
Yeah, why not?
That was wild because that was like, where was it? I think it was in Poland? The UFC did their event in Poland, and they had the guys fighting. No, it wasn't in Poland. It was the one in Stockholm. Anthony Johnson against Gustafsson.
That was like way past like.
And they had the main event. Those guys came on at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild, right? See, people don't get this. The people who just watch the sport, they don't understand the different sacrifices and the struggles and these different things like that. People don't even think of that. They just turn on the TV. Oh, this is great. This is live. I'm having dinner. I'm sitting in front of the TV, and you don't realize that a guy like Anthony Johnson, he's going to fly, from Coconut Creek, Florida to Stockholm. He's going to be jet lagged. The food's different. The whole vibe of the pollution's different. The whole scene's different. And then he's going to be fighting jet lag. I don't know, he probably rolled in a week before and got adapted. But still, there's still a transition there. And then he's also fighting at 3 a.m. against the number one contender in the world.
But I think as well, I'm sure that they're told that they're going to be fighting at 3 a.m. in the morning and so on. So those guys at that level of fighting, they did probably be training at that time, just like Floyd Mayweather and then so on, and whoever that I know of, they've always said they rather train in the night, or they'd be sparring at late in the night or so, because that's when their main event's gonna be at.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I walked into your gym, even before we set up the schedule to do this interview together, I was like, where are we going to do this? We need to be relatively quiet. And I was like, and you're like, hey, just come to the gym. We'll find a spot. And I'm like, well, will there be a lot of people? And you're like, hey, it depends. It can be madness. And I walk in here and there's a full gym. And I'm like, oh, shit.
And that's not even full, actually.
And it's not full.
Yeah.
But in comparison to when I was in Phuket, it's really different because the clientele is different. Like you said, here it's probably a bunch of people that are working in the city, studying in the city.
Yeah.
They're busy during the day, and they're going to start rolling in here heavy, at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and probably how late are you open till?
Till 10. But our last class will be done by 9:45. The MMA class goes on till 9:45.
Because all the MMA gyms then in Phuket, they're all, they're going to open and start being busy at 9 in the morning, and but they're going to close at 7. And you might have a couple stragglers that are hitting a heavy bag here and there, but they're certainly not doing any classes. After 6 p.m., 7 p.m.
We start at 7 a.m. Man. We start at 7 and finish at 10.
Yep.
We got to cater at 7 a.m. in the morning. We got to cater to the business people who who go to work at 9 a.m. or so, and they want to get a class in. So so we cater to various people.
Yeah. So let's talk about just MMA in general in Singapore. I mean, you've been in this scene for pretty much since its inception, right?
Yep. And I think even before that, actually.
So when did you get involved with MMA in Singapore? I mean, you've lived your whole life here, basically, right?
10 years on or so. I've seen the first. We had the first King of the Cage tournament over here back in 2006.
Really?
Yeah.
Exactly. King of the Cage came out here in 2006.
King of the Cage came in 2006.
Really, 9 years ago.
Yeah. And then I initially I was at this other gym called Fightworks Asia, where we started an MMA program over there and all. So I've seen the development of MMA, like jiu-jitsu and wrestling and so on. Right now, definitely it's in a good spot because there are many MMA gyms around. Well, in Singapore context, there are a few really good ones, and then there are those who are just coming up and so on. But I believe there's still not enough shows done over here. Back then when ONE FC started and so on, they had a few shows and all. But right now, you got 1-2 shows in a year, and then
in Singapore.
In Singapore, especially, and I tried. I did the SFC last year.
Yeah, I mean, so let's talk about that because you know, it seems like you're also with the SFC is you're trying to create you have created an amateur MMA promotion that takes place in Singapore.
Yes.
All your shows are going to be here.
Yeah.
So what's the goal and what have you accomplished so far with that?
Well, so far, what we did was first time we did like a 4-man tournament for 4 weight divisions. So for one night we crowned like 4 of our champions.
So those guys were all fighting twice in the same night?
Twice in the same night.
That's
with title belts as well. It's never been done before.
Okay.
So our next show, I want to do the heavyweights, like maybe 2.
What'd you do? You went from like flyweight to lightweight, right? Flyweight,
not to lightweight, only up to featherweight.
Okay.
Wait, no, I actually did lightweight as well. Yeah, I did lightweight as well.
Flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight.
Yeah.
Lightweight. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And was that a resounding success? Show went off well?
Yeah, it went well, and we had like close to more than 300 people come and watch the show.
Okay.
And everybody loved the fights. You know, we had a couple of pro shows on it under the Gods FC card, and those fights were really awesome as well.
So how did that work? So I mean, you had God FC that's in there. That's a professional MMA promotion. Yeah. So was this all branded as an SFC event, or was it?
It's an SFC event, but pro shows under the Gods FC banner.
So that the pro fights, the took place were under that banner.
The three pro fights was under the Gods FC banner, and I gave out super fight titles as well.
Okay.
So the winners all had like super fight belts too.
Okay, so I mean, having followed the whole scene here and having been so, you know, intricately tied to everything, how do you feel about the scene right now? I mean, you mentioned that you feel that we need more live events. How do you find that solution? What's the solution to that problem? Like, do you just create new promotions, or do the existing ones just need to do more shows here in your opinion?
I think, I definitely think the existing ones need to do definitely more shows, and like, you know, we need the support. Like ONE FC initially when they started off, I felt like, you know, they were doing a really good job and all, but then they started concentrating on every other part of Asia and Southeast Asia. So now Singapore's gotten pretty quiet in that expense. And
they have the big show coming up obviously this month on the 22nd.
It's the first one this year.
Yeah. And I guess we're already halfway through the year almost, right?
Yeah, exactly.
May 4 months, third of the way.
I think they might have 2 shows this year, possibly. We don't know, but a lot of the guys that I know, like for us and all that, we travel like to Malaysia to go all these small feeder shows and so on. I think what's lacking is that slight support. Maybe ONE FC should open up in their expense where, you know, they could help the smaller promotions and so on, you know, and open it up more so they can like do like 2-3 shows a year.
So having more shows here, what are you hoping that would accomplish? Is that to just give Singaporeans a direct outlet to literally go sit and experience MMA at its finest right here in Singapore? Or is it also something where you want some of your athletes and the other gym's athletes here to not have to travel so much to be able to, you know, to perform?
Basically both.
Yeah,
definitely. We've got some pretty good talent in Singapore, I think, and every time we travel out overseas, you know, the standards they aren't really at that level, and our guys, you know, all those from the elite gyms and all, we always go there and then they're smashing them. So I tried with SFC where you know, I put the best gyms, you know, we had Evolve and we had Impact and us and all, and we took part in it. That was a good show. I mean,
it really seemed like you brought everybody you know, that matters in Singapore to under one roof for that event. You know. So
I mean, I wanted to do another show in April, but you know, because I didn't have like the monetary support.
Yep.
So that's key in any show. So so currently I'm working with trying to get sponsors and all, and we have 1 or 2 on board who want to be part of it, and hopefully if all goes well, I'll try to put a show up in August. I want to do another show in August.
So another SFC?
Another SFC in August. And another one in August, and hopefully one at the end of the year in December as well.
So what's the vibe like between the gyms here? I mean, if you go to Phuket, like the main gyms there, there's almost quite a lot of animosity between them. It's like there's some pretty distinct flavors in each gym there, and you know, I think on the surface everybody's cool, but you know, underneath it there's a lot of old blood and whatnot. What's it like here?
I think everywhere it's the same. It's just like who you align yourself with. Like for us as well. We work with quite a few of the MMA gyms around. I mean, I have to because you know I'm a promoter as well right now in SFC, and we're friends with. I'm friends with like Impact and so on. So it's a small community over here, so we all have to be friends. You know, if not, we have to support each other. If not, the MMA scene won't grow over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a difference between there being competitiveness between the gyms that needs to exist. That's what makes MMA exciting. You know, we don't want everybody holding hands and hugging and kissing.
Yeah, that's true.
There needs to be, there needs to be exactly right. You know, saying figure skating, right? So you want there to be, definitely some competitive fire between gyms like that, and some rivalries, and that's interesting what they've done with the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know if you've been watching this season where they have, ATT against the Black Zillions. So I'm thrilled that they've taken on that format, because I mean that's really going to up the quality, because they're not digging around trying to find guys. They're going to the top gyms in the States, finding their top guys within their gyms and pitting them against each other. You should try watching it. It's pretty interesting how it's playing out too. Cool. But then of course, it seems like there needs to be a certain unity between the gyms to just move the sport forward, and for everybody to make money, and for everybody to to gain access to bigger and better promotions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what makes your gym special here? What are some of the unique selling points of Juggernaut?
Well, I'd say we don't pretend, we are a fight gym.
Yep.
So anybody who comes up, you could be, an office worker, a blue collar guy, a white collar guy. You come in, you work with our fighters as well, and you get the best training possible. I mean, it's all hard work, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of sweat.
Yep.
We don't like to, how would I put it, make it easy. It depends on certain levels as well of our clients, I would say. Some of them, when they come in, they're really unfit.
Yeah.
Actually, majority of them will come in, they tend to be pretty unfit. But within a month, 2 months, you see lots of changes. And we really grind them down.
It seems like you also offer everything here.
Yes,
is that an accurate assessment that people can come here and this is a one-stop shop from the strength and conditioning, wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA,
Dutch kickboxing. Yep. So we've got like 6 disciplines going on, and we've got classes running every day.
And they must be running every day, all day, if you provide all that, because that's a heck of a lot of stuff for a gym of this size, man.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we got our fighter training as well inside, and we've got our personal training clients as well who come in and who want to learn from the fighters too.
Okay.
So yeah.
So how do you who's some of your coaching staff? Who are some of the highlights of the people that you can come and train with you?
So we got Major Overall, who's our jiu-jitsu coach, and one of our MMA coaches.
I'm actually getting him on the show tomorrow.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. He's fights for ONE FC. He's I think quite an exciting fighter.
Okay.
Very quiet, but very exciting fighter.
Yeah, I read up on him. He's got a really interesting story.
Yeah, it's got this
a lot of moving
zen
around
about him, and nowhere you don't realize all of a sudden you're like, okay.
But explosive, man.
Yep, that's true.
So what does he do here?
He does jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Sorry, and MMA. And then I've got.
So does he fight under the Juggernaut banner?
Yep, he does. He does. Right. He's part of our coaching team. Then we've got Emelo Urrutia.
Yep, I just had him on the show.
Yep, you've met him.
Awesome dude.
He does our same thing, our jiu-jitsu and our wrestling program, and as well as our MMA program.
Yep.
And then we've got Will Schultz coming in. Who doesn't know him? Yep. He's one of our striking coaches. He does the Dutch kickboxing, Muay Thai, and the boxing. We've got another guy, Luke Adams, as well.
Okay.
He's a purple belt. He's a pretty high level guy. He does the MMA and jiu-jitsu. And I've got our local hero here, Shafiq, who's one of the best MMA fighters in Singapore.
Okay.
He coaches the boxing, the striking, and the Dutch kickboxing. Yeah, we've got actually a few coaches.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you still do?
And I coach as well still.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in charge of most of the programs. I do the boxing, all the striking programs. I'm in charge of it.
Okay. So how many hours do you actually tangibly put out there in the?
It depends.
In the training area?
I could be there like right in the morning till like God knows when. I do get lots of PTs.
Okay.
So I start my day sometimes at 9 a.m. in the morning, and today I'm pretty lucky because when you wanted to come and interview me, my other PT cancelled. She's back in Bangkok.
Okay.
So yeah, so I've got slight time off.
Good. Well, I guess I picked the right time.
Yeah, you did. You did. It was perfect. So yeah, I'm doing either the classes or I'm doing my PT training, and also I've got to coach the national boxing team as well.
Jeez. Yeah, man, you're a busy dude.
I am.
Now, do you still compete?
I was competing till last year.
Yeah, because that's what it seems.
Yep. I won the wrestling nationals over here as well.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about getting back into competition again.
In what disciplines?
Probably in boxing and in wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still with the national wrestling team. So.
Okay.
So they're heavyweight champion. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I might even want to get back into MMA as well. Get a couple of fights in. I'm 35 now. I think I've got like 2 or 3 years left.
Okay.
Got to cut some of the weight, and we'll see.
What do you walk around at weight-wise?
You don't want to know.
Hey man, it's all good.
I'm walking around in pounds. I would say I'm about 250 now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't look 250, but I am.
And if you were to fight, what would you want to drop down to?
I've got to drop down to like, if it's MMA, I'm gonna be down to like light heavy. When I was fighting professional, I was.
Damn, so you'd want to get down to 205?
Yeah, I was cruiserweight. I was below 91 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yep.
Now, cruiserweight in MMA, it sounds almost like that's a weight class that a lot of people would like to see. You know, it's like basically, I think there's you got the 205ers that are, they go up to 205. Right? So that's from 185 to 205, but basically everybody weighs in at the limit. And I think people, they have a problem with there being such a huge gap, up until heavyweight, because you've got guys like, you had Daniel Cormier, fighting as a svelte heavyweight, and then coming down to 205. I think a lot of people think that Kane, if there was something in the 225s, in the 220, that'd be a good spot for him. A guy like Fedor would have been perfect, getting down to there. Is that a weight class you'd like to see at MMA? Something between light heavy and heavyweight?
I think it'll help, as well as for I think it's kind of unfair for like the super heavyweights too.
Yep.
Because the limit for heavyweight is up to 265 if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And then after that it's super heavyweight, and UFC doesn't have a super heavyweight division. But
their argument that they're always going to give you is that there's just not enough dudes that are athletic and competitive at that weight class to have an entire division devoted to it. Because who would you see in there?
Well,
it's
true. Look at Japan, man. They've got quite a few super heavyweight fighters, and they're always entertaining. Entertainment-wise.
Entertainment-wise, for sure. But I think the UFC, they're always going to look at it. Is this a competitive division? Can we make this a division or sport outside of some, the odd freak fight here and there?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that's the problem. Is anything over 265?
Yeah.
You look at guys like Bigfoot Silva, Brock Lesnar, guys like that, or even Overeem when he was, really bulked up. It was just like that's already pretty much the limit of how heavy you want to go and keep things within the context of a sport.
Yep, that's true. I think you're right. Actually, it would be good. Because the limit for the heavyweight, it's I think the span is way too much.
Well, the thing is if you say you're walking around at 250, but you'd like to fight it at 205.
Yeah, but I'm 250, but I'm unfit, man. I need to get that's the thing, right? It's like, so how much can you really lose? Maybe if I get back into shape, I'd be down to 230, 220, and then it's just water weight after that.
So imagine if there was a weight class that caters to 225 or something like that, and a guy like you could be in there. Cain Velasquez, he'd probably love to be in a spot like that. Sort of those athletic heavyweights that are fast, that are lean, mean fighting machines, and that still have to fight these beasts.
Yeah, exactly.
And you might also see some guys that are struggling at 205. Even a John Jones. He's talked about being able to wanting to compete at heavyweight. But already you're or an Anthony Johnson even. You know what I mean? The guys there, it's like he's walking around at 235, 240, and kind of. Isn't that insane that he would get down to 170? It's just outrageous.
I know Anthony. He was competing at 170 previously, right? Yeah, I know.
But he just kept missing weight. He had weight issues a few times, right? And then he actually tried to do some fights. I think he was trying to fight Vitor at 185, and then he missed weight for that. And so he just said, F it. Let's just go up to 205.
Exactly.
And he's looked great at that weight class. It was like on a 9-fight winning streak or something like that. So. But the guy's a phenom just for being able to to cut the weight that he does. That's just a shocking thing. What do you do when you try to cut weight? How do you treat that process?
Well, I think it's the same with all fighters. Right now at 250, it would take me probably a month to cut like 20 pounds, you know, if I'm like training every day and so on. And then I would prefer to get down to about like 215, and then last like 20 pounds or so, you know, just purely do the sauna water weight thing, like all fighters do.
Okay, so is that a process that gets under your skin, or are you just used to it by now?
Well, I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah.
I used to do that a lot, but not anymore. But I don't know how I'd feel if I start right now. You know, I might just say, you know what, screw it, I don't want to do it. I don't know. But
listen, man, it sounds like you got your hands full with a lot of different endeavors. I mean,
whenever my fighters are cutting weight and all as well in the sauna, I'm in there with them.
Hey, why not?
It's kind of fun.
You know,
like, hey, it's cool.
So outside of the coaching staff, all those guys that you mentioned that are also fighting, is there anybody fighting here that we should keep our eye out for? That's doing,
all of them,
like, big things.
Will Chope's fighting in Pancras.
Yep.
Emilo's fighting in Pro FC.
Yeah, he's fighting this weekend.
Over the weekend.
Yep.
We've got Major. I don't know when's Major gonna get his
next fight.
His next fight, but hopefully soon.
Okay. But is there anybody that's training here as a fighter, but that's not a coach here? That's
actually most of the guys who are training over here as well, and you know they coach here too.
Okay.
I think because
it's just a win-win thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and when I believe when you're coaching, you get to be a better fighter as well, because you need to understand the intricacies of everything.
Well, you're systemizing what you do.
Exactly.
You know, you actually have. I mean, it's like when you try to teach somebody a language. You know, it's funny. I mean, I speak English, I speak fluent French, but if somebody told me to teach them either English or French, I'd be like, wouldn't have the first clue how to go about it, right? So, I mean, it's interesting that as a fighter, you know, probably a lot of guys, you'll train guys, you'll pick up guys, and they'll pick up the craft quickly, but they're not necessarily understanding because they don't have to break it down. That's your job as the trainer.
Yep.
But yeah, for sure, I can imagine that as a fighter, if you're able to break down what you're doing and surgically understand the DNA of it, that if you can teach it to somebody else, you can perfect it within yourself, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Awesome. Well, listen, Arvind, this was a really, really great time. Thanks for coming on the show, man. You got any sponsors or shout-outs you want to do?
No, man. I mean,
just come train at Juggernaut,
Just come train at Juggernaut Fight Club. Best fight gym in Singapore. That's it.
Awesome, man. How can people follow you on social media?
I mean, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Just look me up.
Look me up, man. It's not like there's a ton of people with your name, right?
Exactly.
It's a pretty unique name.
A lot of people know me anyway, so yeah.
What are the origins of your name?
I'm actually Indian, Sindhi. So technically back then it was Pakistan. So right now it's already India. So yeah. Actually, I'm not very sure. You know, I'm just trying.
You got to go onto like ancestry.com or something like that, right?
I don't think even my family knows as well. It's like, okay,
that's pretty wild.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? Hey, we're living in the now, brother.
I know.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on the show, Arvind. I really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy man. Awesome. This was the Trash Talk MMA podcast. I'm your host, Antoine Pelletier, with my guest, owner of Juggernaut Fight Club in Singapore, Arvind the Juggernaut Lalwani. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Trash Talk MMA podcast. Be sure to visit trashtalkmma.com.
On my face, behind my back, and talk trash.
And don't forget to follow Antoine on Twitter at Trash Talk MMA. Let us know you're listening. Use hashtag Trash Talk MMA.